This is a Westwood Slide Show done by Mr. Murphy's 6th grade class from 1976 to 1977. This is Chris Atencio
and Barry Schaefer.
You will be hearing our voices from time to time as we consolidate information from many sources onto one tape.
A tape which describes the slideshow Westwood 1976 to 1977.
Here is Mrs. White's class watching the custodians get a reward. Here's Bill, one of the custodians, waxing the floor. Here is Ray, another custodian, fixing the furnace controls. Here, on the first day of school, they put a sidewalk so the kids wouldn't be as close to the street. Here a truck went through one side of a building, damaging Miss Labby's first grade classroom. There was no class in session at the time. Here is Doug, a custodian, preparing to cut glass.
The plan for our new library IMC area was presented by Facility Planning in the spring of '75. The plan was approved and the initial work started in August of '75. The plan called for removal of a wall between two classrooms and a space cut out for a window and a door on the second wall. Following this, new electrical outlets were placed in the floor for carols and electrical use. On either side of the window, a blackboard and bulletin board were added. Walnut bookshelves were chosen, and as well as a new showcase for art materials from Bryant Street and art projects that children make and want displayed. For the first time, we have a workroom with ample counter space for processing materials and a sink for cleanup. A locked storage area was added to handle audiovisual equipment and materials. When the final cabinets were installed and carpeting laid, the real work began. Westwood has a 9,000 book library which had to be taken out of boxes and placed on the shelves. Many consulting sessions with facility planning and the contractor were necessary to work out all the many problems concerning our new IMC. The monumental job of putting away all the books and materials was accomplished with the help of Mrs. Cordova, my special aide, and some wonderful Kid Power helpers from the upper grades and myself. Mrs. Cordova has also spent many mornings typing cards and assisting in all phases of aid to our beautiful new library IMC.
This is the finished library looking east. This is the finished library looking west. This is Mrs. Clowers in the workroom of the library.
I'm the school social worker, and my job is to help kids. I take care of lunch applications for free lunches, and I sometimes talk with parents when children are having trouble in school, and I talk with children who are unhappy or who are having different kinds of problems in their classroom. Sometimes I help people get clothing or furniture for their houses, and sometimes I help arrange for children to be placed in one of the special classes, such as Miss Jansen's class or Mrs. Erbaugh and Mrs. White's classes.
Have you been here at Westwood?
I've been here 5 years.
All right, what is your job?
What is my job?
Yeah. What do you do here?
Oh, I do lots of things. I do some screening procedures on all kids, like heights and weights. And I check the vision on some kids. And I arrange for hearing tests on children who need hearing tests, as well as children in some other grades routinely. I do physical examinations. I interview parents of children.
How long have you been here?
This is my 3rd year at Westwood.
This is Mrs. Baker, a social secretary. How long have you been here?
This is my 20th year here at Westwood.
And what is something you like about it?
Oh, I like to work with the boys and girls and the teachers and the principal. I try to help where I can.
To share, you have to say for your own self.
Oh, my work is sort of varied. I do a lot of typing. I answer calls from parents and from other people, to both principal and the other staff. I sort the mail and I type reports. I get messages to all the children when their parents call and want certain things done. I help with first aid when the nurse isn't here. And I don't know, the day just goes quite fast with numerous things to do.
Interview Miss Bruce that works at Westwood School. What's your job?
My job here at Westwood is as a teacher's aide. Well, I work with a number of teachers here at Westwood, and I work with them in reading, and I'll also, if a teacher needs anything run off on the diddle machine, or if they need any typing or filing or anything that she would like for me to help her with, I do. But most of my day is spent working with the children.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Sandberg, and I'm the coordinator of instruction here at Westwood School. I'm here every Friday. My job is to offer suggestions and help teachers and boys and girls with subjects that they have in school, such as reading and math. And I look forward to coming to Westwood every Friday. We have the Harper Row reading program here at Westwood School from kindergarten through grade 4. And I certainly hope that you parents will come to school and visit the classes. We're very pleased with the results that the children are making in the Harper Row reading program.
Me, Greg, and Chris are interviewing Mrs. Jansen. What is your job?
I'm the ICPD teacher, and I help students who have learning problems.
What is something you like about your job?
I like the students who come in here because they like to work, and when they come in, they usually have success in here. And I like to see them have a better time in their regular classes.
How long have you been here?
I've been here since November of 1976.
Do you have anything else you like to share?
Just that everyone in the school is really cooperative.
Thank you. This is Chris Tencio, Greg Martello, and David Says interviewing Mr. McPherson. What is your job?
I'm the PPA teacher at Westwood. I work with kids from different classes who need a little extra help, either academically or with their behavior. And I try to get them to where they can go back in the classroom and do the things they're supposed to do on their own.
Okay, what is something you like about your job?
Well, I like the way that I get around the school building and see most all of the kids in the school and the different kinds of kids that I get to work with.
Okay, how long have you been here?
This is my 4th year at Westwood.
Do you want anything else to share?
Oh, I don't have anything right now. Thank you.
Okay. This is Chris interviewing Mr. Hook. How long have you been here?
At this school?
At Westwood.
I've been here 4 years now.
What is your job?
I think they call me the principal, don't they? Right? And my job is to organize the school so that it'll run well, line up our staff so we'll have good teachers, and help kids when they need help, and see that all materials are available for good learning to go on.
What is a ZB3?
Well, the ZB3 is a program, probably you'll remember that about 3 years ago, the Supreme Court said that our schools had to integrate so that we'd have all kinds of children in all of our schools. So the Supreme Court said that we had to integrate the schools. The court then said that we would have to have in-service training for teachers so that they could better understand children and how to work with children. And they call this the ZB3 program because it's a United States Supreme Court order. And the order came from a ZB3, part of that order. And so all we do is twice a year, 3 times a year, all of our staff gets together and works on specific problems so that we can help kids work and learn better.
Okay. What is something you like about your job?
Oh, I think I like mostly the kids, that I get to work with them, and sometimes we have fun. It's good to see guys like you and the kids in your class enjoy learning and see the importance of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And this is Greg Martello, interviewing Miss Foster.
Hi there, what's happening?
How long have you been here?
I've been at Westwood for 5.5 years.
What is your job?
I'm the speech therapist at Westwood.
And what is something you like about it?
I like it because I get to work with just a few boys and girls at one time, and I get to see their speech change from not so good to good.
Okay, thank you.
This is Brenda Sandoval, and I like to interview Ms. Webster, the diagnostic teacher.
In the diagnostic classroom at Westwood, we have children coming throughout the day to have a different approach to learning here. We use many activities to stimulate interest. There are over 50 diagnostic classes in the Denver area with the same kind of approach to learning. One of the things we've found is that when we have a project that stimulates their interest to a high degree, their learning level increases proportionately. I would like Brenda to tell you something about one of the projects we have just finished that has been very rewarding as far as their math concepts are concerned.
This is our cake project. We learn to measure when to add ingredients, how long to bake them, how to read the clock and temperature, how to estimate quantities to buy, how to count money, how to add, multiply, subtract, and divide. We earned money for Nature's Window. This is Austin and interviewing the band teacher, Mr. Gonzalez. How long have you been at Westwood School?
This is my first year here.
Where were you before you came here?
I was at the University of Colorado finishing my schooling.
Why did you decide to have a concert?
To give all the students that are in the band and orchestra program the experience of performing in front of an audience.
Would you describe the drum section of the band?
The drum section is 9 students which keep the rhythm and the background and the beat of the band going.
Would you describe the violin section?
The violin section is commonly known as the orchestra. It's comprised of the cellos, the string bass, the violin, all the stringed instruments that are played.
Do you think the audience liked or disliked the concert?
I think some of the people liked the concert, and then there are some people who didn't like the concert. And that's just because some people expect to hear better playing from us, and some people have never heard a band play before and are pretty well impressed with what they heard.
Last 5 years, Westwood has taught many 6th grade classes 4-H. Subjects taught include conservation, woodwork, first aid, sewing, cooking, and leatherwork. This was a bulletin board in 1974. Here we see Bob Saraceno, county agent and DPS teacher, introducing our class to first aid with the 4-H program. This year, the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade classes took field trips to the post office annex. Here we see part of our class waiting for tours. Since we are not allowed to take pictures inside the annex, we see the class waiting patiently for the bus to come and take them back to school. This slide shows Halloween celebrations for this kindergarten class. These kindergarten children have their costumes on and are posing for this picture. Here you can see last year's 6th grade class. They are holding their balloon pumpkins for this picture. This is last year's 6th grade class with their costumes on at Halloween. This is last year at Halloween when all the kids marched around school for the parade. This is another slide that shows kids marching around the school. For the next few slides, you will hear 5th grade students describe their play. Tina Guerin and Charlotte, they're practicing a dance for the play. Mrs. Anderson's class presented for the Thanksgiving program. 5th grade classes singing songs for the Thanksgiving program. The pilgrims are busy preparing the feast for the first Thanksgiving. These are the friendly Indians that came to the first Thanksgiving feast, sitting around the fire waiting for the food. This slide shows Mrs. Chillinger and her daughter Tammy with Elaine Martinez making decorations for the 5th grade Thanksgiving play. This slide shows the members of the play at one of their many early morning rehearsals. From left to right are Jeff Duffy, Charles Ryan, James Gonzalez, Lupe Velasquez, Mrs. Smith, Jackie Hall, Elaine Martinez, Mrs. Trollinger. This slide shows the performers dressed as the food that has come back to Hunt Freddy, the boy who ate too much for Thanksgiving dinner. From left to right, these are the characters and the people who play them. Now, Jeff Duffy, Apple, Alicia Applejack, Corn, Elaine Martinez, Pumpkin, Christine Garcia, Turkey Gobbler, James Gonzalez, Mashed Potato, Jackie Hall, Cranberry, Charles Ryan.
Slide Show some of the Westwood students who come to watch our dress rehearsal.
This is Mrs. Finnegan's kindergarten class. These are the first black and white pictures we took while learning how to use a camera. On the top is kids learning how to count, and on the bottom they are listening to a story. This is Mrs. Barney teaching reading to a small group of students. Grouping is an efficient method of teaching on a student's level. Here we see a first grade girl who has completed her assignments and gets to go to the art center. Here we see Mrs. Lowry in a grouping situation. The bulletin board on the wall is a wall that a car drove through last year. This is Mrs. Harden's class standing by a bulletin board that they made on Halloween and are posing for this picture so Mr. Murphy could take it. This is Mrs. Harden's class. Here in the back you can see a bulletin board which the first grade children made of pilgrims. This is Mrs. Harden and she has a grouping situation. This grouping situation in which a child has to learn what he has to learn. This is Mrs. Parker's classroom, which the children are in second grade, and they are listening to their teacher while Mr. Murphy takes this picture. This is Mrs. Parker's class, and each child working individually on their art. This is Mrs. King's second grade class. These children are working on their individual activities. This is Mrs. Falsgraff's third grade class, and each child is doing his own work. These kids are watching our Warm Fuzzy program we had in November. This is Mrs. Humphrey's fourth grade class, and in the corner you can see a lady testing a student for his ability. This is Stephen Romero, and he is in fourth grade, and he won a coloring contest with a picture of a turkey, and he colored it all kinds of colors, and that's how he won the contest. And he got $10 worth of certificates from Azar's Big Boy, and he got to go out to Azar's to eat with his family. This is Mr. Chavis's sixth grade class. This is the first year we haven't exchanged classes for different subjects. In the back you can see a bulletin board of Man A Course to Study. Man A Course to Study is so you can learn about animals and their habitat. This is Mr. Murphy's class. Here are some boys making Christmas ornaments. They are making them all sorts of colors, and each boy is doing them differently. Here we see the class showing off their finished Christmas ornaments for this picture. I'm interviewing Michelle Gomez. Michelle, how do you feel about being a Girl Scout? I feel happy being in Girl Scouts. What do you do in Girl Scouts? We make pottery, we make paper flowers, and we play games. Do you like being in Girl Scouts? And if you do, why? I like being in Girl Scouts because our Girl Scout leader, she is very nice, and she takes us on trips and everything, and I have lots of fun in Girl Scouts. This is Brenda Lucero and Rachel Poker. We are interviewing Miss Gazelda, the lunchroom manager. What was the kitchen like before the ceiling fell in?
Oh, it was a lot darker, and we had a lot of pipes showing. And we had the ceiling plaster peeling all the time. We had a lot higher ceiling.
How is the kitchen different now?
Okay, well now we have a beautiful new ceiling, tile. We have
18 fluorescent lights, 2 bulbs each, where before we only had 8 lights with 1 bulb. So it's a lot brighter, a lot lighter, and it looks a lot cleaner. The heating was changed, so it's a lot warmer in here now.
How many cooks work at Westwood?
There are 3 besides myself.
What are the duties of a cook?
Okay. I'm the manager, and so I have to see that the food is, first of all, ordered, and that is prepared the way the recipe calls for. And to see that all the money is collected. I see that each one of the ladies do the jobs that they're appointed to do. I have a baker, and who does all the baking, both for breakfast and for lunch. I have a cook who cooks all the lunches, the hot lunches for the children. And I have another lady that does the salad and dishes up the fruit. And together, and we all work together to see that this lunch gets done on time. We serve it, and then we have to clean up all of this kitchen.
Is it very hard to clean the kitchen?
It's hard because it gets pretty dirty. We've got a very light colored floor here, and it gets dirty fast.
Can you tell us what you are doing in this picture and when it was taken?
It was taken in September of '76 on our open house on back to school night. We had 150 parents show up. I was introducing the officers for the coming year. Mr. Hook was in front of me, and I was just getting ready to introduce him, and he was going to give a talk on test scores of last spring.
This was Father and Son Night, wasn't it?
Yes.
Could you tell us why you decided to have this program for Father and Son Night?
It was just before hunting season, and so many fathers take their sons hunting with them. We decided to put on a hunter safety program. We got Officer Black to give a talk on firearms, which you see in the lower right-hand corner. Then we had a film on hunter safety, and we had a dessert, serve yourself afterwards.
What does this picture show us, and how did this help the PTA?
This picture is a photographer from Spencer Studios that comes and takes our school pictures. We do not make a profit on these pictures. We do it for the parents, and it's a cheaper way for them to have pictures to hand out at Christmas time.
How were you able to use the fact that the elections were held at Westwood to the advantage of Westwood?
The day of election morning, we started at 7 o'clock. We had voted to have a bake sale to raise money for functions that we put on in school. On the opposite end of the election, we set up a long table with bakes, cakes, homemade bread, pies, cupcakes, and we made a profit of $102 off the sale, which ran from 7 in the morning until 7 p.m.
Can you tell us the activities that are going on in the faculty now?
This is in the faculty's lounge. Alice DeCampo at the table with the popcorn balls is getting them ready to sell. We usually make $25 to $30 off our popcorn sale. In the background is some of the faculty working on different things. One is using a mimeograph machine The other one has just got done typing, and 2 more are discussing reading programs.
What does this picture show?
This is Mrs. Trollinger typing up the newsletter we put out once a month. She spends 2 days a week, 2 days a month typing the newsletter. That's her daughter she brings with her. This is the other ladies that help on the newsletter and after it's all done. There is, in the back row, Mrs. DeTempo, Mrs. Martinez, me, Mrs. Barrows, and in the front sitting is Mrs. Trollinger. There is 520 copies of the newsletter sitting on the table.
What on earth are you doing with all those soup labels?
We ran a contest for the kids to which class can bring in the most soup labels, post box tops, or Betty Crocker labels. The winning class will receive a barbecue in May. With the soup labels, we'll be getting library and IMC room equipment. Mrs. Clowers is helping me count the soup labels, since this will help her library. The post box tops, we get gym equipment, and the Betty Crocker labels we are going to get silverware for PTA with.